game. Go along, get along 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 game. My mama's cooking. Go along, get along game. My mama's cooking. Go along, get along game. Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Go along, bear with me, class. Get along. Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Bear with me, class. Go along, get along. 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 My mama's cooking. Go along, get along. My mama's cooking. All the gatekeepers say. Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Go along. Bear with me, class. Get along. Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Go along, get along, game is real.
Go along, get along, gang. Say,
Go along, get along, game is real.
There's no go along, get along, gang.
Go along, get along, game. Say,
Go along, get along, gang is real.
Go along, get along, game. Go along, get along, game.
Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Bear with me, class. Go along, get along, gang. Go along, get along.
Go along, get along. Go along, get along. Go along, bear with me, class. Get along. Go along, get along. Mama's cooking. My mama's cooking. Why? Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Why? Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. There's a new sheriff in town, bitches. Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Get a little taste of mama's cooking. 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 Fuck you, talking about, nigga. My mama's cooking. My mama's cooking. My mama's cooking. Bitch, you can't do it. I'm gonna get a beat to that. Bitch, you can't do it. Bitch, you can't do it. Bitch, you can't do it. I'm gonna slow it down for the Texas nigga. Bitch, you can't do it. Bitch, you can't do it. Bitch, you can't do it. Fuck you, talking about, nigga. Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Why? Get a little taste of mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Mama's cooking. Get a little taste of mama's cooking.
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
Black, you ain't black. Black leadership. 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 You ain't black. I want black. You ain't black. Something for black. You ain't black. I want black. You ain't black. Something for black. You ain't 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 black. I want black. Trump. You ain't black. Racism. You ain't black. Charlemagne. You ain't black. Essential workers. You ain't black.
I'm black.
You ain't black.
Why not?
You ain't black.
Come on, guys. I'm Black Dana.
Come on, man. You ain't black. Blacks. You ain't black. Dr. King. You ain't black. This virus. You ain't black. Come on, man. You ain't black. A disproportionate amount of them ain't black. Ain't black. Now people recognize that you ain't black and you ain't black. You ain't black. I want black. You ain't black. Something for black. You ain't black. I want black. You ain't black. Something for black. You ain't 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 black. I want black.
I tell you what, if I had to tell them any one of these people, I'd be
Black.
Everybody. I have to get to this because I got to go.
So I apologize that I got to rush through this thing. My internet been acting up all day, so my apologies. You got skin tone, you black. Let me share this screen because no, that's it right there. Because I've been missing out on the news and stuff lately. We got to get back to what's been going on. So in DC, your line's going back a little. In DC, we got a situation where 2 National Guard members were shot. So let's get to the story. We got Miss Janine Pirro going to go over it real quick. They seeking the death penalty for this dude. So I don't know why I think the media members should hold some accountability to this, because you got to think about it. With the media telling Americans and Don Lemon getting on his platform and lying directly to the public, making it seem like something that's being done is being done through force and that is not legal, that some people may rebel against that because they're thinking that they're protecting democracy. They keep saying that these people don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about democracy. And when you tell people that's been believing in something for so long, you could cause a reaction. You can make people do some things that they wouldn't normally do. Not to give nobody no excuse, because I think you an idiot if you do something like this. I think you deserve everything that come with it. So my condolences to the parents and the family members who, I think one of the soldiers, the National Guard members, lost their life, and I think the other one is fighting for his life. So I'm not giving these people an excuse or a pass. I'm just shedding light on a media and a group of people that always seem to say the same thing in order to make people emotional. What did you say? The suspect worked for the CIA, and where? I don't know what flag that is, brother. The CIA, but salute to you. Ooh, I'm tired.
Being shot ambush style on the cold streets of Washington, D.C. By an individual who will now be charged with murder in the first degree. There are certainly many more charges to come, but we are upgrading the initial charges of assault to murder in the first degree. As a prosecutor, my job is to prove what happened at that scene. And make no mistake, we will do that.
U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, upgrading the charge against the suspect accused of shooting 2 National Guard members, killing 1. 20-year-old West Virginia National Guard member Sarah Beckstrom sadly succumbed to her injuries, while Andrew Wolf is currently fighting for his life. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey joins us now with an update. Thank you, Governor, for joining us. So you spoke to Andrew's family earlier. What can you tell me about how he is doing?
Well, I think the condition remains very serious. It's a critical condition. Obviously, I'm not going to focus on the medical prognosis. I'll leave that to the doctors. But what I will say is this. Andrew is fighting for his life right now, and his family and all of his friends, they're trying to harvest as many prayers as possible from all across the country, all across the globe, to help him recover. By all accounts, this person, he's just been amazing, beloved by the folks within the Guard, and very popular. He is very accomplished at what he's done, and he comes from a really distinguished family of folks who have contributed to service, local service and military service. So he's got a tight-knit group really pulling for him right now, and I think that's the best thing we can do is continue to send prayers his way.
Yeah, it's all just so unimaginable and, of course, avoidable, which also makes it enraging. How do you feel like his family is holding up right now?
You know, obviously, this is an extremely difficult situation, but I can tell you that the family is trying to look at it in the most positive manner possible, that they are rooting for him, and they're trying to just send positive energy his way. I know his mom talks about the miracle of prayer. I believe in the miracle of prayer, and I think that's their focus. So it's healthy, and I know that she's really buoyed by the number of people that are coming and praying for her. I think that what else can she do other than to really try to be positive for her son after such a heinous act that occurred that obviously is severely injured her son and killed Sarah. Just this is unconscionable what's happened.
Yeah, and obviously, the fact that both of these troops came from West Virginia, I know has to weigh heavily on the hearts and minds of all West Virginians.
It really does. I know that there was a vigil last night, a memorial. We issued a proclamation because we want to make sure that we're honoring these two brave individuals. West Virginia cares very deeply about its Guard, and there's just a proud tradition of West Virginians who step up for military service. So when something like this happens, it's really a gut punch to the communities. But people are stepping up. They know that it's time to have the Guards back. I know that I want to signal that West Virginia.
And that's sad that people have gotten this emotional. This is what Democrats want. Yeah, that's what I think, because they know they believe in law and order as well. So when they do stuff like this, it makes for more law and order. So they're going to create laws and policies based on what just happened. The Democrats are going to win power again at some point. And so they want this civil unrest. When they don't get their way, they want this to happen. It's either their way or the highway. It's either their way or civil unrest. It's either their way or you guys don't get your SNAP benefits, because they wanted, in my opinion, to start back the benefits that they had during COVID so that they can start funneling that money through all these states again. And Trump and Big Balls and all those guys, Pauls, stop them from doing all that waste, fraud, and abuse like Trump used to do. Let me talk like Trump be doing. He stopped all that waste, fraud, and abuse. And so now that there's no waste, fraud, and abuse, well, not as much, now everybody's belly aching. Everybody upset.
Virginia will do anything to help these families, help these guardsmen. I know President Trump believes the same thing because he has made that a priority. And I'm hopeful at the end of the day that we can see Andrew recover.
Yeah. As investigators continue their efforts to get to the bottom of exactly everything that went on here, and members of Congress and the White House begin to reevaluate how this person got into the country, either vetted or unvetted, what do you want to see happen going forward?
Well, most importantly, we need justice to be served. That's critical. I think West Virginians are counting on that. Americans are counting on that. What you started to see yesterday with the president stepping up in terms of the vetting process and trying to make sure that he's closing some of the loopholes, really that started under the Biden administration. There's so much cleanup that has to get done.
He said they all get welfare and free houses. Yeah, they get the welfare and free houses while the Somalians get 47 million. They get millions of dollars over there in Somalia. So it's a lot of stealing going on. It's just at different levels and who getting what. And like always, we get the bottom of the barrel.
I was saying yesterday that when I was Attorney General, I used to have to be regularly involved in lawsuits against the Biden border disorder. Well, now there's a lot more policy work that needs to be done to make sure that all of these millions and millions of undocumented aliens that came in and other people, that we have to review what are they doing, and are we confident that there's not another major criminal lurking?
Governor Patrick Morrisey, thank you so much, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and all of the good people of West Virginia, and
obviously
so much. The Beckstrom and Wolf families. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we got to send the prayers up to the family. That's just crazy, man. It's crazy that they got people throwing their lives away like that. You're going to ruin your life with all this emotional stuff. They have an update on the case. They have some actual video that they found. So I'm going to play the update of the video. But get angry, get stupid if you want to. You're going to jail.
Nation. Fox News alert: 2 National Guardsmen gunned down in Washington, D.C. just before the Thanksgiving holiday. 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom passed to glory, in the words of her father, while 24-year-old Andrew Wolf continues to fight for his life. With that, we bring in Madeline Rivera live in Washington with the latest. Madeline.
Kaylee, federal officials are adamant they want the death penalty for the suspect, 29-year-old Ramanullah Lockenwall. New video obtained by the Wall Street Journal shows part of the shooting unfolding on Wednesday afternoon. The video taken by a witness shows the suspect holding a gun as a National Guardsman runs down the street. 5 seconds later, the outlet reports the Guardsman fires loud shots. Lockenwall is now facing first-degree murder for the death of 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom, as 24-year-old Andrew Wolf remains in critical condition.
Andrew is fighting for his life right now, and his family and all of his friends, they're trying to.
Afghanistan, he would have also been screened before to carry out Lockenwall to drive. Investigators have yet to say what publicly motivated Lockenwall to drive cross-country from Washington state to D.C. to carry out this attack.
What the fuck? That's who did it? This guy shot somebody on American soil? Oh, hell no. Oh, no, this make it a whole lot different here. They let all these people over here, you don't know who you got to watch now. Golly. Where is this dude originally from? Let me see. Let's see if they say where he's from.
The globe to help him recover.
Investigators have yet to say what publicly motivated Lockenwall to drive cross-country from Washington state to D.C. to carry out this attack. Lockenwall was vetted by the intelligence community for his work with the CIA in Afghanistan. He would have also been screened before.
This motherfucker worked for a CIA in Afghanistan for real. Why is an Afghanistan man unalive? So wait a minute. Them jokers done created 9/11. The Taliban caused 9/11. Now we got Afghanistan people unaliving our military men and women on the streets of the United States. They trained him properly. This dude ain't gonna get no death penalty. They're gonna take him to Leavenworth and feed him grapes. Somebody pulling the strings on this stuff. This is crazy. Afghani trained CIA guy unaliving people on the street. We ain't got a chance, boy. They got their soldiers already. Trump and them guys been complaining about this entire time, saying that they're letting military-aged men in our country. Look at this guy. It looked like he's been fighting all his life. Look at this crazy-looking mother. Look like Saddam Hussein, brother. How are we going to fight against people like this that been running around with AK-47s and slapping camels on their ass? How are we as Americans that have been pampered that we shoot sideways? How are we going to handle a guy like this? A CIA trained unaliver against YNs with skinny jeans and switches. They put 2 or 3 of these guys in your neighborhood and oh, there goes the neighborhood. They already got them in your neighborhood. They work at the damn corner store or the bodega. They all look like this. You don't know if it's a CIA operative. You don't know if he a motherfucker just trying to sell you a pack of smokes. They already in your neighborhoods. They selling your liquor. They're already in your neighborhoods. Shit crazy.
Receiving asylum earlier this year. But the administration maintains there were gaps in the process during the chaos of the Afghanistan withdrawal, which is when Lockenwall came here to the U.S. Now they're cracking down on immigration. In one of their latest moves, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the State Department is pausing visas for all travelers with Afghan passports. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services is also pausing all asylum decisions. The agency says that order will remain until they can ensure every foreigner is screened to the maximum degree. Kaylee.
Madeline Rivera, thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley.
How the hell do you screen the foreigner? Hey, are you going to unalive somebody? No. Are you going to unalive somebody? I don't know. I let the Lord. I let Akbar. And then they come over here and unalive somebody. How the hell do you go vet them? How you going to catch them? I am shocked. This is what Trump was talking about this entire time. Close the border down. Close the border. Now we getting unalive. Now people are getting unalive from more people, more foreigners than anything right now. Well, I don't know about that statistic, but I'm just saying. That's crazy. America used to have fear in people's heart, so they wouldn't try no shit like this. We need to get back to being the real America. You know, you come do something like this on American soil back in the day, there would have been HE double hockey sticks to pay. Digital ID will be their solution for vetting. Yeah, that might work. But that's what they probably want us to get to, digital ID. They're going to have everybody up under digital ID. You're going to have to scan your arm to go in and out the country. They're going to stop that going to Belize on you. You're going to have to scan that arm.
Continue with our top stories that we're following here. We want to bring you a bit of breaking news. I'm putting this up on your screen. It's from Brooke Taylor with Fox News, saying exclusive. An Afghan national was arrested on Tuesday after posting a video of himself on TikTok, indicating that he was building a bomb with an intended target of the Fort Worth area there in Texas. This is all according to the Department of Homeland Security. I want to put up some video that we have there of that suspect in full there on your screen. But we do know that court records are showing that the man is now being charged with making a terroristic threat at the state level. He came into the U.S. as a part of the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome, just like the D.C. shooting suspect on September 7th of 2020. Threat at the state level. He came into the U.S. as a part of the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome, just like
Trump fault. Blame that on Trump too. Blame that on Trump too. Now it's another red-skinned looking mother trucker that wants to blow up Fort Worth, Texas. What in the world is going on? What in the... Hold on first, y'all. First, before I start saying anything, I forgot to do something. Stop doing that. There we go. There we go. Let me try something else. What in the world is this thing doing? My studio is acting up now. I don't know why it ain't working, but let's go back. They're going to blame this on Trump somehow. Somehow this is going to be Trump's fault. They trained this guy. Biden trained this guy, and he's building a bomb to blow up Fort Worth. For what reason? Let's find out.
that we have there of that suspect in full there on your screen. But we do know that court records are showing that the man is now being charged with making a terroristic threat at the state level. He came into the U.S. as a part of the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome, just like the D.C. shooting.
So, okay, your excuse is America unalived more than 10 million Muslims in the last 20 years. America is evil. Okay, the people who may have done that, if that number is true, that's definitely evil. But babies, women, and children letting off a bomb in Fort Worth is not going to right that wrong. So that's stupid to say. Women, children, and innocent people don't have anything to do with that.
Suspect. On September 7th of 2022, he was admitted as a lawful permanent resident. ICE has currently lodged a detainer on him. Once again, that is the current update that we have there from Fox News. Is Brooke Taylor, with them now reporting there that the Afghan national was charging Fort Worth, Texas, has now been arrested, according to the Department of Homeland Security. I do want to also show you this live look that we have there in Dallas, in Fort Worth area, there in Texas. If we get any other updates or details, we'll certainly make sure to bring them to you here on Live Now from Fox.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles.
That's a doggone shame, man. Everybody is that we letting over this border is now turning on us because why? They never came over here with an American ideology anyway. Everything is going crazy, man. This is crazy. All over the world, it's just wow. I don't know if y'all been watching the news. I've been missing the news. All over the world, it's been just craziness after craziness. All over the world.
President Trump sounding off on Chicago following a string of violent crimes, including the 26-year-old woman set on fire on a train last week.
They burned this beautiful woman riding in a train. A man was arrested 72 times. We could make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. And if you look at the crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson acknowledged the city's shortfalls following a separate fatal shooting incident on Friday after the city's Christmas tree lighting. Watch.
What we put in place did not do enough to prevent what we were concerned about from actually manifesting.
Let's bring in Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez. Raymond, that acknowledgement by Mayor Johnson is a different sort of tag. We haven't heard that from him before, but why is he doing that now, and what's your reaction?
Well, Griff, good morning. I think the reason that the mayor's pivoting now is that he understands that Chicagoans are fed up with his failures, and he knows that Election Day is less than 8 months from today. You know, he could say and try to pivot all he wants, but all of these failures come right back to his doorstep. The blood is on his hands for what we've seen happen this weekend, because when it came to the teen takeover and the 300 individuals that descended on downtown, we had the opportunity to institute a snap curfew that would have allowed the police to better manage that. He vetoed that ordinance because he didn't want to profile Black children. When it comes to the CTA and the burning of that poor woman, he has handcuffed not only our Chicago police, but transit police as well, not allowing them to use all of the tools as well as follow these individuals when they are on the trains causing chaos. This falls at his feet squarely, and he knows that Chicagoans have had enough.
And
just looking at this mayor, he's married. Something off with this dude. I don't know. Something ain't right. Something don't seem right. I'm telling you, in public, it seems like they're the ones that act like they champion everything good and what's right, but they too sensitive to do their job. They are too emotional to do what's right. Everybody profiles. Shit, I see some redneck looking people. I'm gonna observe them, but most of them cool. Some of them, but not all. I see some YNs. Some of them cool, but not all. I see some white folks. Some of them cool, but not all. That's how I look at everything. He don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, even though in certain areas you can look at the numbers and know what they're doing over there, but you're gonna profile. You're hurting their feelings. That's crazy.
You know, Raymond, just to remind our viewers, this individual you're talking about, Lawrence Reed, has such a criminal history going back to 1993, 72 arrests, 8 of them felony convictions, 7 misdemeanor convictions. You just wonder, what in the world is that individual doing out?
Well, this is the gruesome effect of liberal, socialist, quasi-communist policies here in the city of Chicago, where that revolving door of justice and sympathy were intertwined, allowing individuals out, thanks to people like Kim Foxx, thanks to the policies and politics of people like Brendan Johnson, and those of the allies of the governor, J.B. Pritzker, who created the Safety Act, which is a misnomer. We have to do better, and I think what we've seen is more compassion and empathy from Donald Trump wanting to correct this than we've gotten from our own mayor or our own other elected officials here, who want to pretend this is a manufactured crisis. It is a manufactured crisis, a crisis they created by all of their bad policies and all of their criminal enablement that has gone on for the past 5 years.
Well, Raymond, it seems that President Trump is so compelled to get involved because of the violent crime in that great city. The year to date, you're looking at 385 murders, nearly 1,400 shootings, more than 5,000 robberies, ridiculous amount of felony theft. How does Mayor Johnson run in that election on this sort of record in his watch?
Well, Brendan Johnson's going to run on a record that says, "Don't believe your lying eyes."
In his watch.
So right now, I call it Kwame, always something going on. When something going on, smoke and mirrors the great U.S. Absolutely. 300. Oh, excuse me. I've been up since 3. It's kicking in. 384 murders unalive year to date. 1,362 shootings, 5,367 robberies, 16,799 felony theft. Damn.
Mayor Johnson run in that election on this sort of record in his watch.
Well, Brendan Johnson's going to run on a record that says, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe what you see and hear going on around you. Forget that those are just property crimes. That doesn't really impact you. It's a big business and all of that. But what we know is this. When we had the chance to bring in the National Guard before.
I want y'all to go back and look at these numbers, right? I want y'all to look at these numbers, right? And I want y'all to look at all of the Democrat-led cities. And you'll see a through line to what you're looking at. You'll see similar murder numbers. You'll see similar shooting numbers. You'll see similar robbery numbers, if not more in some categories. It's not like it's going to go down. You go take a look at Memphis, Baltimore, and New York. Go look at their stats and just start, Mississippi, East St. Louis. Start looking at it. Look at Oakland, East Oakland. Start looking at some of these places and look at who they're being led and ran by. And just take a look at the results. That's all I want you to do. Don't look at racism. Don't look, because that's going to be there. Don't look at racism. Don't look at this. Don't look at that. And I know some of you going to say, well, it's being affected by the policies are racist and it's being affected by racists. How come you can go down to Florida and it ain't, your business can still operate? How come businesses are leaving so-called great places in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and all these places, and they're going to Texas? They're going to be ran by Governor Abbott, the people that they say they hate, they say that they don't like. They're going to be led in Florida by people they say that didn't know how to do things right. Why? All your fast food restaurants, they promised you $20, $30 an hour. And I said it on this channel. I said, you're not about to get no $30 or $20 an hour from no company. If the cost to pay an employee is $20 an hour, then the cost of the sandwich is going to have to be that to be able to make up for paying $20 an hour. I'm going to have to charge you $20 for a burger. Your combo is going up to $20, $25. Big Mac combo, $18.99. I got to pay $20 an hour. I still got to make my money. Like, it ain't happening. So all they do is lie to you. They get you emotional, say something that sounds good in theory, but in real life, though, it'll never happen. It'll never happen to where a fast food burger joint that is supposed to be a job for one adult manager, maybe two, that rotate, and teenagers and college kids. That should be a stepping stone job that leads you to a career. Unless you're the manager. But look at these results and tell me what you think.
Business and all of that. But what we know is this. When we had the chance to bring in the National Guard before, the mayor and the governor said, no, we don't need it. And we had 57 people shot, 9 people killed. I believe that was Labor Day weekend. We've had multiple offerings by this president to say, let me send in people to help, even just provide presence so that your police officers can go back into communities and do constitutional policing and get the bad guys. And at every turn, they have said no. I know that the communities I represent and overall everyone in the city of Chicago wants to feel safe this holiday season, but every day of the year. And now we have a chance to see if the president is going to make good on that. I would say to my Democratic colleagues, if you don't believe him, call his bluff and let's see what he has to offer. But at the end of the day, if we could bring numbers down even 5 points more, as we saw during Operation Midway Blitz,
sure,
let's do it.
Well, and let me just, Alderman, get one last comment from you in the few seconds I've got left, and that is the opposition from Mayor Johnson opposing ICE and federal immigration law enforcement. We now know that one of the migrant teens, 16-year-old from Venezuela, charged in killing a homeless man.
There were multiple teen Venezuelans that were involved in that. And what we have seen is the...
Now a Venezuelan person unalived a homeless man. Golly. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe.
We looked at his calendar. We looked at emails. We brought in people for hours and hours of depositions. The legal peril here isn't the fact that the auto pen was used excessively. It's the unauthorized use of the auto pen by a president that was clearly in mental and physical decline, and his administration tried to shield that cognitive decline from the American people.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer's findings from the House investigation into Joe Biden's auto pen use, leading to President Trump announcing that he is canceling, quote, any documents.
So yeah, Trump is going to cancel any document that I think Joe Biden signed with this auto pen. They're going to say this is an attack that Trump is doing. It's not an attack. This is a protecting the United States of America. Joe Biden was deemed incompetent to stand trial, but they allowed this man to continue being the president of the United States. I don't understand how that even makes sense. If I'm deemed unfit to stand trial, how can I be fit to run the presidency? It doesn't even make any sense. So somebody tried to hide the fact that actually, he couldn't hide the fact that he was in a mental decline. I don't know how Americans let them get away with this. How did us Americans allow for a court system to say publicly, we're not going to charge this guy, but because he's mentally not all there, but then he's going to keep running the presidency? And now all of these people get pardoned. His son is like running the show overseas. All these people are taking all this money. He's on camera himself when he's the vice president, basically threatening a whole nother country, saying that if you don't do this, if that person ain't fired, then you ain't going to get $2 billion or whatever $1 billion as the vice president. We got a fake Gilbert in here. They love to they love to keep that drama going. But anyway, this auto pen thing should be really revisited, and all of those things should be thrown out, and they should evaluate why do you need a pardon for the people who are on the January 6th committee? What did they do wrong that they may have needed a pardon for? Even if Trump was out to get them, if you didn't do anything wrong, how could he get you? So why would they need a full presidential pardon, a pre-pardon? Can we at least examine the information and find out what it is that they may need a pardon for? Them classified documents. Oh, we know.
Signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen. Former White House press secretary and Saturday in America host Kayleigh McEnany joining us now. And, you know, Kayleigh, we've been talking about it some already this morning. Really, the frequency is crazy, like 88% of documents signed by the auto pen. But as you just heard from Chairman Comer, it wasn't the frequency that's so concerning. It was the potential unauthorized use of it. It makes you wonder, Kayleigh, were people inside the White House during the Biden presidency even concerned about this?
They were, actually. And funny enough, I brought my pink auto pen. I always have it on me, the pink auto pen. But in the White House, Axios reported that folks raised questions. In fact, the staff secretary, that's a big job in the White House. They control the paper flow, said, hey, I need to know whether this was authorized or not. Show me the email where the president authorized that. That's a big report. Not only that, the DOJ came to White House counsel, also within the West Wing, and was raising questions about the clemency process. So the auto pen is a bit, in my opinion, of low-hanging fruit because every president has used it. The big deal is the mental acuity, the cover-up, the decline, those in the Biden White House who raise questions. And it's good of the president to ask these questions. It's good to have some semblance of accountability because we had a president in decline. And might I say the bigger question isn't when the auto pen was used, but what decisions were made without the auto pen in the Situation Room, when Afghanistan was happening, when 13 service members died at the Abbey Gate. None of that required an auto pen. It did require a president with mental capacity that I don't believe Joe Biden had.
You know, you talk about what we know about pardons, for example, that were used, signed by the auto pen. and it includes members of Biden's family, excluding Hunter. Hunter was apparently done in person, but it's also got General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci. You've got some of the January 6th committee members. What do you think this holds for them? Should they be worried?
Yeah, pardons were given out like candy. It was like, you get a pardon, you get a pardon, you get a pardon, like a car with back in the Oprah days. What's concerning to me is, yes, those individuals who felt they needed a pardon, but so too the individuals who were on the hook, had criminal convictions. One individual who was charged with killing an 8-year-old, convicted for that, and somehow gets a pardon. Why? What was the reason? Why were pardons being handed out in such a cavalier one individual who was charged with killing an 8-year-old, convicted for that, and somehow gets a pardon? Why?
Hold up. They gave somebody a pardon that unalived an 8-year-old kid. And this is the party of peace. This is the party of all inclusive. This is the party of love. You're going to give a pardon for somebody who unalived a kid. I would like to know why. January 6th, they didn't unalive anybody. None of the people that broke into the January 6th building unalived anyone. This guy unalived somebody and got out. That's crazy.
But so too the individuals who were on the hook, had criminal convictions. One individual who was charged with killing an 8-year-old, convicted for that, and somehow gets a pardon. Why? What was the reason? Why were pardons being handed out in such a cavalier fashion? That's the biggest thing, because as you all covered, the executive orders can be undone. It doesn't matter auto pen or not. The clemencies, the pardons, however, President Trump can't just roll away those, but the auto pen raises a new question.
You know, for a long time, people would ask, those of us on Fox, who's running the White House? But now when you get this investigation and they've tracked, things that were signed, decisions that were made with the auto pen when President Biden's not even in the White House, not even in Washington, he's elsewhere. Take us inside the West Wing. Can you imagine a presidency with such major decisions being made without the actual president?
And that's it. Who was running?
The people, you see, this is what's wrong with a guy like you that's faking like you're 39. I said none of the people who broke into the January 6th building, broke into the building, none of those people unalived anyone. That's what I said. Yes, a cop was unalived that day, but not by a protester. She got shot by the police, not by a protester. So that's you being silly.
The White House in these key decisions, because there were lives that were lost. I mean, Griff, you remember this. Afghanistan was falling, and President.
So who unalived the lady? Are you saying she got unalived by somebody who broke into the January 6th building? Is that what you're saying? You want to? Oh, you're the guy that's not going to hit the link. I don't know why I'm talking to you for the chat. You ain't going to hit the link.
Biden was in Delaware, and then they moved him to Camp David. And then there were all these meetings in the Situation Room. Was he a part of all of them? Was he not part of some of them? Who was making that disastrous decision? The president of the United States is the one duly elected. The American people put their stamp of approval, their vote behind him, not some subsidiary, be it Jill Biden, the first lady, the chief of staff, or as President Trump said, the radical lunatics encircling that Oval Office desk. I used to be one of the people who'd sit across from the president there. I wasn't a radical lunatic, but I also wasn't elected to run the country.
That's right. All right, so let's talk about Saturday in America. What do you have coming up?
So coming up, we have Van Epps, who you covered in that crucial Tennessee race. We also have Doug Burgum. People forget the National Guard are on the ground, but so too are the Park Police. So I'm going to ask him about that. Mark Wayne Mullen and some of our favorites. So join us Saturday in America.
I love it. You mentioned Park Police. By the way, we all saw a helicopter landing on the mall, and that was actually a key part of taking the Guard members to evacuate them to the hospital. An important part of that story.
So how many of y'all think this auto pen thing is a problem? I think it's a problem. I think it's a big problem.
President Trump is.
I think this auto pen thing is a big, big problem, but I don't think they're going to do nothing about it. I think every time they do these investigations, I think they got the judges sewn up. I think they got the Supreme Court, some of them are on their side. I think this thing goes deeper than what you think. I don't think they're going to do nothing about it.
Promising to crack down on immigration once again, including the asylum process after the shooting of 2 National Guardsmen in Washington this week. That happened because of an Afghan national in this country. Now, the deadly attack comes after a wave of demonization from the left of the brave men and women of the National Guard.
I don't think you have an armed militia in the nation's capital.
The president is attempting to send the National Guard to send and terrorize cities.
It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians.
Now, does that sound familiar? Listen to how they spoke about our immigration enforcement earlier this year.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
And these ICE agents running around our communities like masked bank robbers?
As somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? We're being hyperbolic. If some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back.
And we know attacks on CBP and ICE agents have skyrocketed.
This is why it's a problem. This guy, it could be our next president. This guy is probably going to run for president, but he's up here pretending and telling people that a guy, some strange guy that just jumped out of the car with a mask. They're introducing themselves as ICE federal agents. I'm sure they're not just grabbing people. They're letting you know that they law enforcement. So no, you're not going to just push back. They're giving people a code of conduct. They're teaching people to rebel against the police with these narratives. And I think that's stupid. I think it's dangerous. And that's why so many people feel like they deserve to act out, because of, look at what a person who run in California into the ground, by the way, Gavin Newsom is ruining California, already ruined California. But now he's speaking about things like this in a way that I think don't make sense.
Running around our communities like masked bank robbers?
As somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? We're being hyperbolic. If some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back.
And we know attacks on CBP and ICE agents have skyrocketed. We are experiencing the real and deadly consequences of that dangerous rhetoric. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Agent Gregory Bavino joins me now. You know, Chief Bavino, this goes back to when I was White House press secretary, and we had agents in Portland back in 2020, and they were called the Gestapo. They were called all types of names. And I'm curious now, when you piece all this together, the attack in the Dallas ICE facility, the plot that was thwarted of a guy who wanted to attack ICE out in Vegas, when you piece this together, do you think J.B. Pritzker and some of the elected officials are realizing maybe the attacks on ICE officers, the threats posed by unvetted migration, are more of a concern than you and your federal agents trying to protect us?
Kylie, good morning, and thanks for having me. You know, when I look at the Pritzkers and the Newsoms and the Governor Steins there in North Carolina, perhaps there is a glimmer of hope that they may realize that. But, I'm still not hearing what I want to hear from those elected representatives to quell down this violence, to quell down what's happening on the streets. Kylie, oftentimes they will say something like the masked bank robbers that you just had on your earlier clip. They'll say something like that, and we'll hear it on the streets a mere few hours later. So they need to do a much better job in quelling down that rhetoric, so that these National Guard members and law enforcement aren't put in jeopardy, which they are put in jeopardy now.
So that's an interesting point. So on the ground, because you've been on the ground in Chicago and they've been chasing after you, how dare you stop people from using incendiary devices against your agent? But you hear some of the rhetoric from these left-wing politicians echoed on the streets?
It's amazing. Absolutely. It's like turning a light switch on and off, Kylie. In fact, in Charlotte, under Operation Charlotte's Web, our first 2 days of the operation were fairly peaceful until Governor Stein decided to call us racists and many other terms. It was like turning a light switch on. The next day, the violence started and it never abated. So these elected representatives and so-called community leaders, they do have an effect on those weaker-minded constituents. And I think that's the best way to term it, is there are a lot of weak.
Look at there. The cop is saying it with their rhetoric. They turning the volume up on that rhetoric, cause people to react in a certain type of way, which cause violence. So don't say, oh, well, you don't have any proof of that. This is coming out of the police mouth. The next day, he said, the next day after using a certain type of rhetoric, gun violence. I told y'all, they come out here, they say all this garbage, get people riled up, and then they start unaliving people or feeling like they deserve to do something or they have a right to.
Minded individuals out there that fall victim to that type of speech. And I think these elected representatives know that. And that's what's most disturbing to me, is they know that these individuals are actually going to respond to what they're saying in a negative way. So blood is on the hands of many people, including those elected representatives.
So you've been in Chicago. Where will you be next?
Kylie, hold on to your hats. That's what I can say there is hold on to your hats. It's going to get real. We're already in dozens of American cities, Border Patrol, ICE, and those allied law enforcement agencies, but we're going to continue our march to make this country a safer place and make mom and pa much safer in their communities, because every community is a border community. So hold on to your hats. It's coming really quickly.
Well, I caught this exchange on CNN, and I want you to listen to this. You have Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, arguing and making a fact that your arrest, the vast majority of illegal immigrants rounded up, have criminal history. On CNN, they insist that's not true. From the cozy Manhattan studio, listen to this.
We are removing every single illegal alien that's in this country. And I would say a majority of those who've been removed have had serious violent crimes.
That's
today
not true.
Today in the New Yorker.
That's not true. I hope
Today
you
in the New Yorker.
saying that.
That is actually
that's false.
Today in the New Yorker. Demonstrably false.
Today in the New Yorker. Based on DHS's own data, a majority of the people that they've detained have not had violent criminal records.
Have been removed.
Chief Bavino, they're sitting in the comfort of a Manhattan studio, real nice in there. You're on the streets conducting these operations. Is it true that these guys don't have criminal records? You're rounding up innocent people?
Very untrue. Any illegal alien has broken the law, but let's take a look at those criminal records that those individuals were talking about, as you say.
They don't have a criminal record. Oh, except for coming over the border illegally. How can you sit on CNN, a news station, and say that people who came to a country illegally didn't do anything wrong, when that's a federal crime? And this is the reason why ICE, the people with the mask that you don't know who they are, for their protection, that's the people with the mask that lives amongst us that we don't know that they're ICE agents, and they're suiting up and they snatching your ass up because they committed a crime. And everybody always try to tell me, go watch CNN, go watch CNN. Why? So I could be lied to? Illegal immigrants. What did they do wrong? And they sit there with that type of snooty ass arrogance. They didn't do anything wrong. That's not troll. That's not even troll. Bitch, you don't even talk like that. You at the barbecue talking about, that's not troll. I know that's not troll. That's not troll. Yes, it is. They're fucking criminals. Every last one of them that came over here illegally is a criminal. If I cross into Mexico without the proper way, if I just cross over the border, I'm illegal. Right then when they catch me, I have committed a crime. Just by stepping over the border, I committed a crime. Let me break it down in layman's terms for the people that may not know. You remember that scene in Bad Boys, where they crossed that line and everything was blowing up, and then the military jumped down and they was shooting at the line. And Will Smith and all of them had to turn around, and then the military didn't intervene long as they ain't crossed that damn border. Yeah, that's how we doing it. You fight over there. Don't come across this border. That's illegal. So how can you say this on CNN? How can you say this type of shit on CNN and then do it with such an arrogance, like, how dare you lie? Shit just don't make no sense. I want y'all to hear the arrogance of the lie. How they lie like this. This lady and this dude is just sitting here. His little prissy. And I know that's Beijing in the front of his head. Now, I might need to get some Beijing, because this is like a brand new Negro. I need to get some Beijing. I don't want to look that made up and brand new. I want to have a little gray. This Negro trying to be perfect with his makeup in Beijing. If he starts sweating right now, his face going to look like bars of a jailhouse. He going to look like jailhouse bars on his face when that sweat run down. He's sitting there all arrogant and snooty. Listen to this lie.
Crimes.
That's
Today
not true.
Today in the New Yorker.
That's not true. I hope
Today in the New Yorker.
saying that.
That is actually
that's false.
Today in the New Yorker. Demonstrably false.
Today in the New Yorker. Based on DHS's own data, a majority of the people that they've detained have not had violent criminal records.
Have been removed.
Chief Bavino, they're sitting in the comfort.
She said had not had violent criminal records. Who gives a fuck? You broke the law. And as we can see, when you break the law like that, there's a Venezuelan person who just committed a crime. There's another person who set somebody on fire. There's so many people from overseas or from other countries coming over here committing crimes. And if you crossed our border illegally, we don't want to hear nothing about no violent crime. They're getting you out because of you crossed the border. They didn't say we're going to let you stay just because you didn't have a violent crime. They said we're getting all illegal immigrants. When people voted for Trump, they voted for him to get illegal immigrants out of the country. We want to start with the most violent, but we want to get all illegal immigrants out of this country, all of them. And I know that hurts your feelings. You're going to have to wash your own clothes. You might have to pick your own fruit, but they got to get their ass up out of here.
Heard of a Manhattan studio, real nice in there. You're on the streets conducting these operations. Is it true that these guys don't have criminal records? You're rounding up innocent people?
Very untrue. Any illegal alien has broken the law, but let's take a look at those criminal records that those individuals were talking about, as you say, in that nice, comfortable studio. Those criminal records also include immigration violations as well. Reentry after deportation is a felony. Oftentimes, it doesn't seem that they want to talk about the reentry after deportation. That's definitely a felony. That's something I count and should be counted as a criminal record. So we go after some very bad people and bad things. And
so for the people who said they ain't doing nothing wrong, re-entry into this country after deportation is a felon. So they're going to grab convicted felons off the street. So black folks, do not feel bad for nobody, because guess what? You saw in about 1994 or 92 to about 98, no, still going. So around the 1990s, when they signed that crime bill, you saw a lot of your uncles, a lot of your daddies, a lot of your relatives going to jail as convicted felons. And then when they round up convicted felons, they round them all up the same. So I don't know why y'all trying to show sympathy for other people. When they looking for black folks in the hood, they jump out with masks on, and I ain't never heard a dude holler to my, they jumping out with masks on. Gavin Newsom, they're jumping out with masks in every black neighborhood. They jumping out in masks in California. They had a task force called the Jump Out Boys. So yeah, they gonna jump out, and they always have masks on. You can go in Atlanta in your neighborhoods, when them police come and kicking that door, they gonna have masks on. When they going in Chicago kicking in that door, it don't gotta be ICE. When they doing a raid, they putting masks on. So why is everybody getting on TV crying as if they don't treat felons the same? These people are felons that they're going after. When they went after my felon brother, when he was a felon, boy, they came after him with masks, dogs. They came after him with everything they had. They warned him, don't you goddamn run. We're going to let this dog bite your ass. I thought it was a slave show again. And I ain't hear nobody crying when they came to get my brother with masks and dogs. So why are we supposed to cry when they coming to pick up other races of felons that ain't even from this country? What are we crying about? I don't get it. I'm not going to cry for you.
And oftentimes, Kylie, what we're finding is when we apprehend other people in conjunction with that targeted enforcement, many of those individuals have significant immigration and or criminal histories. Sometimes between 60 and 70% of those general immigration sweeps will see illegal aliens with significant immigration and or criminal histories. It's quite amazing.
It's amazing. But the commentary class, they know better from that comfortable studio. Chief Patrol Agent Greg Bavino, thank you very much for your time.
I'm Steve Dusky.
He said they tried to drown my buddy in a mud puddle. The shame of you Negroes sitting up here trying to cry and whine. You know how many brothers I done seen them hem up like this, hog tie, and take away from the house with masks on? You know how, If you grew up in the hood, raise your hand if you grew up in the hood. If you grew up in the hood and you was around any illegal activities, when them police kick in your door, 3, 4 o'clock in the goddamn morning, they coming in with masks on. They coming in blinding your eyes. They coming in kicking your ass, and they coming in knees in the back of your neck, and they ain't taking the mask off. So why am I going to cry that somebody else that's a felon is being treated the same way? Welcome to fucking America. That's what I tell you. You want to swim over here. Welcome to America, where you get your ass kicked if you're a convicted felon. Now that's my time. I'm up out of this thing. I'm gone.